Welcome to Office Hours by Triple X Church. I'm your host, Carl Thomas. I'm a pastor, certified neurohealth coach, and a guy who frankly struggled with a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about for nearly 20 years until I found freedom about a decade ago. In today's episode, we're going to be jumping in and answering this question: how can I get a sponsor? So that's what I will be discussing today. Make sure you hang in there with me. Recognize that no questions are off the table, and I'm going to be as honest with my answers as I possibly can be, so don't get offended. So without any further delay, let's jump in. Okay, how does one go about getting a sponsor? Now, sponsor is a term that's it's most common in 12-step circles, right? With Alcoholics Anonymous or sex addiction, Sexaholics Anonymous, whatever, any of those anonymous groups. Sponsor is a very common term, and it's basically your mentor, the person that brings you into the process and is willing to walk you through. Usually they're a more seasoned ex-addict, hopefully. All right. I'll be honest, I'm not a 12-step person. I didn't go through the 12-step process. I am familiar with it, but I'm not super well versed on it. It's just never been something that I've dove into. Not saying there's anything wrong with 12 steps. It's just not my jam. And so even though sponsor is kind of a 12-step term, I think what I would say is you're probably trying to ask, on a more generic level, how do I get an accountability partner? Or how do I get a mentor? Or how do I get a guide? That type of idea. You want that person who's farther along than you, who can help you, who can kind of hold you accountable, who can help you achieve certain goals, and hopefully can also help you when you hit a moment of kind of crisis, right? Hey, it's 11 o'clock at night. Holy crap, I really want to look at porn. I'm going to reach out to my sponsor, my accountability partner, my mentor, and see if I can connect with them and just get some ideas on what I can do to get out of this situation, right? How do you get one of them? Now, we get this question all the time in terms of accountability partners, especially. How do I get an accountability partner? And the reality is a lot of people, they want us to match them, right? Like we're match.com, but for accountability partners. Hey, can you match me up with an accountability partner? And I always have to tell them, unfortunately, the same thing. It doesn't work like that. It's not that easy. All right. Finding a mentor, sponsor, whatever, accountability partner, it's a process, and it's a process you have to undertake. You have to go about that. All right. No one's going to do it for you. And it's quite frankly part of the journey because it forces you to walk with a little less shame. It forces you to extend a little more trust than maybe you've extended. It forces you to be a little more transparent maybe than you've been, right? These are all things that we need to work on when we're dealing with porn and sex and all these other things. Is we need to be transparent. We need to be honest. We need to start building trust. All these things are really important components. And so the process of finding one of those people kind of forces you to go through that process to a certain degree. And that's a good thing. So I would not recommend, going to necessarily your spouse. I would say even family members can be a little tricky. Some people actually say don't use a family member at all. That's a terrible idea. I won't go that far because I don't know the dynamics of your family, but I will say family members are more prone to turn a blind eye, or sometimes maybe even be more critical depending on who it is. Like if it's your brother-in-law, he might be a little more defensive, a little more judgmental because it's his sister that you're doing this against, if you will. So I would say try to stay away from family. That would probably be a last resort. But good friend, if you go to a church, maybe a small group member that you think you have a connection with. It's got to be someone that you trust, right? It's got to be someone that you think will empathize with you. It doesn't necessarily need to be somebody that's been down the same road as you. Now, sponsors, like when you're talking about 12 steps, you are dealing specifically with people who've walked the same road. That is an ideal situation, but I'm not saying it always has to be that case. You can find a mentor or an accountability partner who maybe's never struggled with that exact thing, but still has a high degree of empathy and can give you a lot of good advice. So I wouldn't say limit yourself to only, for lack of better words, ex-addicts, quote unquote, right? But if you can find someone who's been down that road, yeah, that's ideal. But look for those people, and you got to make sure they love you. That's important, okay? You don't want somebody who doesn't have a tremendous amount of love for you because they might punch out if it gets too uncomfortable. They might be super judgmental. Who knows? You need someone that quite frankly wants the best for you. And because they want the best for you, yes, they're going to show you grace. They're going to show you love. They're going to show you empathy, but they're also going to challenge you when needed. And they're not going to back away from it because they know that challenging is going to produce growth in you, right? So you need someone that really, really wants the best for you. If you are scratching your head listening to this saying, I don't know anyone like that, I would tell you the best place to start then, or the easiest place to start, at least from my perspective, is go to livefreecommunity.org and join the Live Free community. That's all men, right? If you're a spouse and you're looking for spouses to walk through, we also have livefreewives.org. You can do that. That's a wives community. But jump into one of those communities and you'll find tons and tons of men, in this case, who are dealing with the same thing. And you can start building kind of relationships through that platform. And as you get more familiar and as you build these online relationships, yeah, you can start building accountability relationships with them. You can start building mentoring relationships with them. It happens all the time. I know many, many guys in Live Free who came in, didn't know anybody, and now they're either being mentored by or they're mentoring someone else because they've come so far. See it happen all the time. So that could be a good place to start. We also have smallgroupsonline.com, which is it's a small group support program. And you're dealing with the same 8 to 10 guys every week. And so maybe you're not getting that one-on-one sponsorship, if you will, or accountability, but at least you're getting a group around you. And that's still going to help you a lot. And maybe from that group, again, happens all the time. You'll connect with that one or two guys that, hey, you know what, let's stay in touch outside a group and make sure that we're trying to keep each other on the right path, right? And so those are some easy fixes if you're just trying to get started with this and you really don't know where else to go. Easy place to do it. livefreecommunity.org and smallgroupsonline.com. So hope that helps. If you have a question for me to answer, go to xxchurch.com/office-hours and submit yours today, and I will answer it in an upcoming episode. That's it. Have a great week.